Minions fans, we are back once again and top of the morning to you. I am Laura, and I am here, of course, with Bill O. Perkins, who has opinions. Because this is our 2 days before St. Patrick's Day show, and that's what we're doing.
Yes, shenanigans.
We are doing shenanigans. So it's a very special show. We're coming at you from this orange void because we are actually in the same room. Bill is sitting right across from me, right over there.
Right across the room.
Yes.
Even though we're on a split screen, it was just to maintain the illusion of our normal show. But while we brought it to you live in a live venue.
Correct. Also, the function with which I used to produce the show, and the fact that we were in a vacant house, meant that I needed my computer close to me so I could play things like that swanky new opening sequence for you all. So
it's new but temporary for this week, right? Like
it is new and temporary, and we already have one fan. Well, new and temporary for the moment. We will probably play it again a year from now.
Sure. Yeah. We'll play it every March.
Every March. You be prepared. That's what's going to happen. So, yay, Heather, and get that beer if you have a Guinness, because we might as well share that what we are drinking today
I'm
is a
drinking
Guinness.
out of a Highland glass, and I will point out it's the wrong kind of glass. In addition to Laura having just pointed out to me that she had no imperial pints, she also doesn't have that, that curvy Guinness glass.
The Nonic pint?
The Nonic pint, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah. I used to have one of those that was specifically for pouring myself a stout. But they're made out of really thin glass, so that's the first glass to break in your glass collection.
Every time. Fun fact, the reason it's called a Nonic pint is because of the shape of them. When you stack them together, they don't stick together. Like if you stack these glasses together, sometimes they stick together.
Yeah, and then they break.
And then they break. So the Nonic pints, which means no Nick pint, means it's not supposed to do that, but then it does.
So the wait staff at the pub can grab a bunch of them.
Carry multiple pints at the same time.
Interesting.
I am drinking mine. This is actually a ninja man glass from Asheville Brewing.
Yeah.
So fun fact, this was a fun surprise because we had gotten 3 glasses from a pint night at the Purple Onion from like a year or so ago that we were there, over a year ago because of COVID. And we got 3 of them, and we unwrapped 2 of them, and we've been using them in our other apartment for a while. And I brought a completely wrapped one back here to use, and I unwrapped it.
And it was Ninja Bread?
And it was this glass.
That's awesome.
And I was so excited.
I've never even seen that glass before, even the Purple Onion. So that's funny because, and I need to grab half my. I'm down to about 6 pints of house now, and 2 of them have a hairline crack down them. So I'm looking to replace a few. So I need to. Yay! Yay, Guinness!
Yay, Guinness! We're all drinking Guinness like we do.
Yeah.
We may also have a special guest on the show today because Toast, the Devon Rex cat, is in the room with us, but currently she's just looking out the window,
right,
where we can't see her. So. Anyway, we didn't really do the regular welcome because we chatted before the show because Bill drove all the way from his workplace to my house. And so we had a beer prior to the show and already talked. But, so how are you? What's been up in Bill land?
Well, I don't know. Not a lot this week. I mean, I did a bunch of dumb chores over the weekend. Somebody asked me this morning in the break room morning, how was your weekend? I was like, hard to say because, I got a lot done, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed myself. I made a dump run and all that kind of good stuff. We just had the new roof put on the solarium. So I had a bunch of, construction garbage all off over the weekend and various cleanup projects.
Well, and first of all, that you have a solarium.
Yes. My wife calls it a sunroom, but I think so. In the nomenclature, sunrooms usually have a regular, they're a screened-in room with a regular roof, though. This room actually has a greenhouse roof, and that's why I refuse to call it a sunroom and insist on calling it a solarium.
I fully
But I also like calling it a solarium because it sounds like we have a huge estate when I say that, right?
Sure. Yes, it does. Do you also have a parlor?
And a conservatory.
Indeed. Do you have a library?
I do, but it's only a corner of the living room.
Fair enough.
Yes, it's adjacent to the parlor in the sense that it doesn't have a wall between it.
Hooray! But most importantly, I'm glad you're here because, of course, the reason that you're here is because I'm in Asheville.
Yes.
So
how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. We are working on the house projects while we continue to work and school remotely, which is kind of like the weird positive side effect from the global pandemic. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to wish that on anybody, but if there hadn't been, we wouldn't be able to be here painting our house.
It certainly gives you a lot of free time.
That it does. But law school wouldn't be happening from home, and we have to be back in Atlanta to attend classes. Well, not me, because I'm not in law school. But I gotta top off my beer here because these are the wrong glasses. I need an imperial pint, and I do not have one.
Oh yeah.
So there was a little more beer in the beer,
yeah.
And we did not have it to drink, and we need it in our buses.
Okay, so moving on to beer, you said you were going to talk away to pour a Guinness.
I was, and I will demonstrate later in the show when I crack open another one.
Okay.
So we have these fancy Guinness draft cans, or as some people might say, drought stout. They're the draft cans, and the reason they are the draft cans is they have the little widget inside,
which is a ping pong ball essentially.
Right.
I've taken the cans because when I do my recycling, I don't usually throw them away with the widget in them. I actually tear the can in half and pull the widget out.
That's smart
because they can't recycle aluminum with plastic in it, right? Like, Anyway,
but the widget.
But I was also curious what the widget was like.
Also, yes, because I've never known. So with the little widget, if it has the widget in it, what you do is you crack open the can, and it immediately goes because it's got the little kind of nitro situation going on, and then you immediately, and I'm not going to do it because I will spill beer on my desk, dump it exactly upside down. In fact, let me get this straight with a full can, upside down. In the glass. So you've got the glass. I will show you this is really dirty. I will show you the proper procedure when I open this. But yeah, you stick it straight upside down in the glass, and then you pull it up slowly as the glass fills. And then you get that when you get like a cool nitro pour, you get like that, like the fading cascading effect. And it's perfect every time. Yeah. So we'll learn how to do that later in the show.
Right.
So.
And also, I want to say, because we're talking about it in a can here, but I also want to talk about it in a bar for this is a pub. Sorry. If you go to the pub and they have Guinness on nitro, which they should, but it's like sometimes they'll just put it on CO2, if it's a cheap bar,
Right.
But, oh man, it makes it so much different. Yeah, the nitro beers are always better.
From anywhere. They're usually smoother. They've got less like fizzy carbonation.
Right. Yeah, it's just more of a creamy taste or something. It's like, and I like not just Guinness. I like most of those UK beers that come like this. Actually, I like Murphy's better than Guinness, to be truthful.
Well, you had to have Guinness today because I was in charge and we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day. So
Murphy's is also Irish.
Yeah, but no, Guinness. No, I'm a purist. I'm a purist.
And I've actually read that in Ireland, Murphy's is more popular than Guinness.
I have a story about Ireland and the Guinness pub tour, Guinness brewery tour, which I will tell in a minute.
Okay.
But where was I going with this? Boddingtons. That was one of our first beers. When we first started getting into beer, we were really into Boddingtons.
I can drink the hell out of some Boddingtons too. That's another one that's got the widget in it.
Yep.
It's delicious. And it's a yellow colored beer, but it still comes out all creamy and smooth, then you'll love it. If you like a good creamy smooth beer, you'll like that.
And if you've never had a creamy smooth beer before, give it a try.
Try it. And I can promise you, as of recently, I don't believe there's any fish bladder in us anymore because somebody whined about it.
That is a true statement. I actually just had this conversation with somebody recently. Guinness for a long time was produced with some sort of something that is made out of fish bladder, which of course is not vegan. So vegans are.
I maintain that if you're eating anything from the UK, you should expect there to be some eel or fish bladder or goat intestines or something in it, because that's just what they do there. It's how they eat.
That is fair. That is completely fair. Yes, but no, Guinness is currently vegan. It is no longer a problem. So
no fish at all.
No fish whatsoever. Completely fish free.
I'd be curious. I would love to find an old can that had the fish bladder and do a back to back.
Oh,
I wonder, because it's been a while since I had a Guinness. I wonder if I'd have a reaction like with Mexican Coke. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd be like, yeah, like something's different. If I only ever drank Guinness, I would probably have noticed it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd have been like, whoa, what do they do to my Guinness? But I used to drink a lot of Guinness when I first started drinking beer, and then I've kind of moved on. Like I think it's a good entryway for the kinds of people who start drinking beer that don't like beer.
Yes.
It's a good entry beer for those folks because it doesn't taste like other beers, and it's got a very unique sort of weird thing going. You'll get used to that, and then you kind of like start to, and I mean, I'm at the point now where I'll I don't usually drink IPAs, but I'll drink an IPA now because I just drank so many beers. Sometimes you just want something different. So.
Yes.
Anyway,
hey, I like some good variety in my beer tasting, but
not today.
Not today. We're only drinking Guinness, and you're freaking almost done with that one. Does that mean I have to demonstrate how to pour it?
Yeah, make it happen.
Also, drink this one slowly, because otherwise we have to ask somebody to bring us a beer. But the best part is we can do that straight from the show, as it turns out.
The show's going to be better because I had more.
It will be better. So, excuse me, I'm going to walk across the room and get Bill's glass so I can refill it for him. Here we go.
In the meantime, what we're talking about today.
I am literally walking 2 steps from here. It's not like I had to walk to South Carolina.
Oh my gosh. We should have played the jig music again while you did that.
We should have or put up the Be Right Back banner.
Where does it have a B on it? Because if it doesn't, there's a damn shame there.
All right, folks, this is how you do it. Right here. This is how you do it. You give it a nice pour, then when you get up to the top, you do a little tilt until it's full.
And look at all the bubbles.
And look at all that. Look how beautiful that cascade is right there. Check that out. All right, I'm going to deliver this beer to its recipient.
All right, you forgot to put up the slide.
I'm sorry I did, but I'm literally walking across the room.
All right, thank you very much.
You are quite welcome. I did want to demonstrate for our viewers how that works. So, today's show, cheers, sláinte, as it were. Sláinte.
All right.
Today's show is St. Patrick's Day. So, Bill, tell me about St. Patrick's Day.
Well, St. Patrick's Day is a minor saint holiday, as I understand it, in the Catholic tradition in Ireland, and they sometimes call it Monday there. But in the United States, it's a big honking deal because it's one of the major drinking holidays in the United States.
Yes, there's a beauty in the United States that we take other cultures' cultural significant days and turn them into drinking events.
This is a drinking thing, right? You're like, what, Chinese New Year, what is that, a drinking thing?
What, Cinco de Mayo, do we have margaritas? Yes, we do.
Half price even.
Exactly. But on St. Patrick's Day, everybody is a little Irish when they're drunk, and yeah. Oh, here comes the cat again. You should come be on the show, Toast. Everyone wants to meet you. Or not. Okay. We will not take up too much time trying to get the cat to come on the show. But, so, what else you got about St. Patrick's Day? Anything exciting?
When I was a kid, I remember it being a big deal that I would always wear green. And then, so this is funny. Then when I moved to Chicago and I was in art school there, I had a teacher for film class who, was Irish Catholic, and she said if you were really Irish, you didn't have to wear green. That was bullshit for like the non-Irish.
Well, I mean, she's not entirely wrong.
And so then I was like, huh. But I mean, I still usually do. It's not actually proper St. Patrick's Day today. It's actually, So anyway, I'm not actually wearing green. Also, I don't have a green shirt. And I used to have this really cool T-shirt. Years ago, me and a buddy owned a T-shirt company for a while. And we made novelty T-shirts. And I had this T-shirt that I was a concept person. He's a graphic artist. And I mean, I went to art school, but he was good at computer art. So he can like plop out a design on a computer in like 3 minutes. Sometimes I'll just like send him random, like I'll have this funny idea and I'll be like, hey man, this is a funny idea. And like 2 seconds later, he shoots me back an email. It's like stupid meme or Photoshop thing I asked for, because he doesn't have anything going on. He's like, whatever,
Nice.
So anyway, at the time, I had this dumb idea for a St. Patrick's Day shirt I'd always wanted. Because, I'd have these friends who'd be like, on St. Patrick's Day, like, earring go braless or some shit like that. They would,
right.
You probably heard that one. I think that's pretty common. But anyway, I was just like, no, I think what would be funnier is I had this leprechaun on the shirt, and he was puking. And it said Aaron go blar.
I like that even more. I like that.
And he was puking green because you drank too many green beers,
right?
Or whatever, because that's a thing that people do.
I have an opinion about that, but we'll hold
about
on to
green beer because in order for it to be green beer, it has to be non-Irish beer that you can dye green.
Yeah, all right, I'll go there right now.
Let's go there.
Yeah, friends do not let friends drink green beer. Like there's so many good beers and so many good Irish beers. We just named several of them.
Yeah.
Green beer is just like nasty American beer. It's
probably Budweiser. Let's be honest.
Bud Light, yes, Miller, whatever you got, whatever they have
in a pitcher,
and they just dump some green food dye in it. And so, I mean, if your go-to beer is Bud Light, enjoy all the green beer you want. But seriously, just drink the good stuff. Like,
right. If you want to dye something green, let it be the river.
Sure, wear green.
As I say that because I lived in Chicago for a while.
Right.
And every St. Patrick's Day, they dye the Chicago River green, which is the one day a year when you can explain why it's the color it is.
Exactly. No, I'm wearing the Sea Monster shirt, which would have been great in our cryptid show.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't own it at the time. I just got it. It's brand new. I love it. However, the reason I'm wearing it is because I did order a green Bill Has Opinions shirt. And
you have to wear some other time.
Yeah, it's now it's just good because it's not here yet. I did not get it in time. So I'm like, and I was looking around, I'm like, do I have something else green? I'm like, the Sea Monster is green. I'll just wear that.
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say, because I think we both were doing a little research back and forth the other day, we were talking about this show, and we were curious about the 4-leaf clover thing, because technically St. Patrick is associated with the shamrock, and it has 3.
It does not have 4 leaves, people.
No, the 4-leaf clover is a good luck symbol, and I guess they got twisted together because I don't know why did it become a luck thing. Like that's the part I didn't actually get into yet. Like
I don't know.
Resident librarian.
Yeah, if anybody knows, anybody out there, viewer, our one viewer resident librarian.
But St. Patrick used the shamrock to explain the Trinity, how the 3 in 1, if you will.
Yes.
And then that's how that got associated with Ireland. And a shamrock, what is it? A shamrock is actually the clover family, right?
Yes, it is a type of clover.
It's a very specific type of clover.
Yes.
And a 4-leaf clover is a mutant clover that happens to have 4 fucking leaves.
Right, exactly. They're not supposed to have 4 leaves.
No, that's why it's lucky because you found something weird.
Correct, yes. But how that all got wrapped up in St. Patrick's Day is...
Weird fact, I'll tell you, that I happen to know this about 4-leaf clovers because I'm good at finding them. And if you go to any, I don't know, everywhere, but around here, if you go to any park or anything, like there's loads of clover, there's always these patches of clover.
Yes.
And so I'll wind up, if I'm ever standing in a patch of clover, for some reason, like, I'll just start staring, looking around, And usually I can find one, and I happen to actually know the odds. The odds are 1 in 10,000, which in a large patch of clover is not outlandish. So there you go. Little fun fact.
That is a fun fact. I learned a fun fact as well. When we were talking about the shamrock, I did a little more digging. So St. Patrick himself, who of course was the 5th century, he was in the 5th century. The whole thing about using the shamrock to explain the Trinity never happened.
I bet he didn't even run the snakes out of Ireland.
No, that he did not, and that is.
Is it actually more truthful that there never were snakes in Ireland?
That is absolutely true. I wrote that down. There were no snakes in pre-modern Ireland. None. I have that written down right here in my notes. So yeah, no, he's.
It's like we should make up a fake saint in the United States and say he was responsible for like running all the elephants out of here.
Exactly.
I mean, although to be fair, yes, there were elephants here.
Well, the mastodon, right?
Yeah, that was kind of an elephant, right? So we can say some Indian name, was responsible for running the mastodons out of North America.
Wow. All right. So,
where we kill them all?
I don't know. But
one thing the white man was not responsible for.
That's true. Well, chances are one thing that no human was responsible for, but
it's true. It's probably in all fairness, actually could have been white people because it could have been due to climate change, right. Which probably was resulting from development on the other side of the world. So yeah, okay, you're right.
Restart climate change. Yes. So all right, we should probably do a station break because I know we got a ton of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's see, which one do I want to pick? I'm just going to kind of randomly, let's pick this one. That would be the Purple Onion in Saluda, North Carolina, where you are not today. You usually are.
For change, I'm not there. They're. I gotta tell you, so it just in the last week started popping over there. I guess the weather got nice and everybody wants to get the hell out of the house, and they do have outdoor seating and stuff, and they're half capacity still, folks. So if you're in this area and you want a nice bite and a decent beer selection, then go on over there and get yourself some food. It's in a quiet little town that's, you can easily walk from one end of town to the other in the 15 minutes that you have to wait for a table.
Right, exactly. And hey, here's a fun statistic. The county the Purple Onion is located in is currently experiencing very low COVID numbers. So
also about half that county is probably vaccinated now.
I'm sure. Well, it skews a little older.
It does skew a little older, and then also I've discovered that the rural areas are getting. I think the distributions are going more quickly, I guess, for the vaccines. As a matter of fact, I'm scheduled to get a vaccine on Thursday.
Well, fantastic. How did you get scheduled? Because I'm trying to work on that. We'll talk about that after the show. Because I've been trying to, actually, I take that back I have lots of questions for you. That's after the show. So we'll talk about that.
Be sure to tune in for after the show.
We should probably put it on.
Talking about the what is it they call it? The thing after walking to talking.
Yeah, the talking dead. We do that
thing
where we just so we've got some info here. In 1571, the English Elizabethan scholar Edmund Campion, in his work, I assume that's Book of the Histories of Ireland. No, it is Book of the Histories of Ireland. It's Book of the Histories of Ireland. Irelandy. He describes the habits of the wild Irish and states that the Irish ate shamrock, but they did not eat shamrock. Also, by the way, I'm pretty sure you could eat a shamrock, probably be tasty in a salad.
Yeah, I don't know how much nutritional value that had, but it would add a little flair to whatever you were making.
I mean, people do the microgreens stuff. There's no difference.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, the Purple Onion, which we were just talking about, they're big on throwing a handful of microgreens on most of the plates, which look like a handful of what are the little clovers? They're not oxalis, the little ornamental clovers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what they look like.
Nice. Nice. All right, we have. Oh God, I have so many things. Where do we want to go from here? Let's go back to the no snakes in Ireland.
Okay.
So there's also the story. So there were never snakes, or at least pre-modern Ireland, there were not snakes. It's not a
like,
custard.
they're snakes now because somebody brought them there.
Yeah, people have brought snakes.
It's a Burmese python. That's what lives there.
Correct, yes.
And it's in someone's house.
Exactly.
Let's be honest, that's what's there.
But there, of course, has also been the narrative that the snakes in Ireland were a coded language for the pagans in Ireland.
So you ran the pagans out of Ireland.
So we ran the pagans out of Ireland by bringing them Christianity.
I actually read there was an episode of lore about werewolves, and it was a story about St. Patrick, and he went to some town, and they ran him out of town, and he did something, he cursed them, and they turned into werewolves. Did you ever hear this?
I did not hear that. I've never heard that.
That was an interesting tale. I mean, I'm sure that was also BS. Apparently, there's a lot of BS in Ireland.
Well, I mean,
that's what happens after you get drunk.
Hey, no, the Irish made up BS. I mean, they are literally people that created the blind stone.
Right.
Like, that is the culture of bullshit. Like, that is a hallmark of what the Irish do.
All right. That makes a lot of sense, really. So all their stories you can just take with a grain of salt.
Exactly. They're all tall tales.
Irish sea salt, by the way. Which is a thing you can buy at the store.
That is absolutely a thing you can buy at the store. Although I used to buy Greek sea salt. I'm not sure why. And then I just started buying
the pink Himalayan salt.
I just started buying Mornin sea salt, which is probably not, but
not even from the sea.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it isn't. But it's just unrefined. It's just actual rocks.
They just didn't bother.
I feel better eating it myself. That's all it comes down to. So let's see, what do we got? All right.
Things that are Irish we were going to talk about.
Yeah, we actually on the list is anything Irish you can think of.
We had a spitballing session.
So we were literally just throwing things at each other over Messenger.
It was pretty funny. Because I did a late entry this morning while I was at work, and I just sent her a name.
But it was after a different conversation, so we were having a different conversation. And then all of a sudden this name came up, and I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
I was just like, Damien Rice.
So yes, Damien Rice is Irish. That we can tell you. We have that information. Other Irish bands include, of course, U2. Yeah. Did you know they're from Ireland? And the Pogues, who are my all-time favorite Irish band. Like if I had to pick one Irish band that was my favorite Irish band, of not all-time favorite band, just all-time favorite Irish band.
Your favorite Irish band would be the Pogues.
Okay. Yeah, the Pogues. They're some good stuff. Shane McGowan, weird dude, but
he got his teeth fixed now.
He did, but he made some good music. Good music.
Yeah, everybody's favorite Christmas tune.
Well, yes, but among others. Like, I think it's a shame that its career is boiled down to just the Christmas music.
Well, I definitely had whatever the album was that had the kid, the pugilist kid. What was it called? It was called like something like Peace and Love, but he had one hand that had been photoshopped, so he had 5 fingers on one. I mean, like, when I say 5 fingers, I mean 5 actual fingers, including a thumb.
Right.
Or not including, like, so he had 6 fingers.
He was the 6-finger man.
So it would spell peace and love
right.
on his fists. That was pretty funny. That had some good tunes on it.
Yeah, no, good stuff. And then, of course, we've got Flogging Molly, the Cranberries, Sinead O'Connor. We threw that name.
Oh, yeah, Sinead O'Connor. That's right.
Who, yeah, she's, she did a thing.
Mercurial. But I will say, in her heyday, listen, Lion of the Cobra was a damn good album. Solid album.
No, she made some good music. She made some very, very, very good music. Other Irish things we can mention, if you have never watched the TV series Dairy Girls, which takes place in Northern Ireland in the 80s, it's on Netflix, or I think there's 2 seasons or so on Netflix. Super good. Watch it with subtitles because they have Northern Ireland accents.
So I watched the first episode. I watched the first 10 minutes of the first episode and turned it off because I couldn't understand a word of it. Because it's like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of an Anglophile as far as like most of the programs I like to watch are from the UK, and it works for me most of the time. I can watch Scottish programs and I can understand the accents okay, right? But
yeah, but this isn't even just regular Irish. This is Northern Irish. Like,
right, so it's just really thick, and it was hard for me to like. I've watched Welsh programs and I've watched Scottish programs, and I'm fine with both of those accents. But apparently, Irish throws me a little bit.
Well, I would recommend giving it another try because I think you'd like it.
I probably would.
Give it another try and
put on the subtitles.
Put on the subtitles.
I was going to mention also, this is not Irish, but Irish. So let's have a subset briefly of Irish descendants. So another show, either the UK or the American version of Shameless.
Ah, yes.
The Gallagher family are clearly, I think, not just Irish, but I think also they must be like descendants of Irish travelers, I would say, because they definitely got that like desire to get one over on someone else, like that
right.
Like can't really work for a living, must weasel something out of somebody, kind of thing. And that's a whole subset of Irish culture, the Irish travelers, they're like the Irish version of the Romani, but not. Mm-hmm. But they're not ethnically Romani. They're like another group. They do the same kind of. Yes. They're responsible. They have the same bad rep as the Romani in the rest of Europe. And
yes.
So, and I think you're actually partially responsible for some of the English hating against the Irish, because the Irish travelers,
right,
are the only Irish some English know.
Right.
So
right.
That's how Irish people are.
If I recall correctly, the movie The Secret of Rowan Inish involves the travelers.
And then there was some Brad Pitt movie I saw one time where he was an Irish traveler. I can't remember what it was called now.
Yes, and he nailed that Irish accent. So
he was also in The Devil's Own with Harrison Ford, where he also played an Irishman who had been like an IRA agent or something. And I really love that. And speaking of, so while we're talking about the IRA for a brief moment, I want to talk just briefly about the Troubles because it fascinated me. So most of the import of Irish-themed movies that we get in the U.S. are about the Troubles in some manner or fashion, right? Like,
right.
I loved The Devil's Own. I loved The Crying Game. Oh my God, I'm not going to give anything away. Somebody spoiled that movie for me, and I hated it forever that they did that. I still love the movie, even though it was spoiled for me. It's a beautiful film. Almost Hitchcockian in the way it's delivered, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh my God. And so that leads me into another thing, by the way. Stephen Ray, who's in Crying Game, is one of the famous Irish people I want to mention.
Right.
The other famous Irish actor I can think of is Liam Neeson. And he was in a movie I saw also about the Troubles, but I can't remember what it was called, but it was about he had been a former a Scots-Irish, like a loyalist, right?
Right.
In Northern Ireland. And he had, in his youth, he had killed a Catholic kid. I don't know what the name of this movie was, but you can look it up. And it was about, I guess, years had gone by, and he had reformed and was basically around the country, like, trying to be a peace broker, trying to, like, do truth and reconciliation kind of stuff. And at some point, he was supposed to meet with the brother of the kid he killed when he was a teenager, and he met with him, and then, obviously the guy wasn't over it, and stuff happened. And it was, I don't know what the name of the movie is now, I'll save my life, but it was a really good movie. And again, it was about the Troubles. And then I've done a lot of reading about it. That fascinates, always fascinates me. I mean, I'm fascinated, I guess, by sectarian violence in general, not like good fascinated. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It blows my mind how people, I mean, it's bad enough, and I'm not trying to dismiss any of it, but in this country we have racism and stuff. And at least, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for racism at all, but I understand that people look different than you, but it's really crazy to me when in countries in Europe, people who look exactly like you, you'll still hate them for some dumb little piddly. Like, you'll find some finite difference.
And in the case of Northern Ireland, it is a slightly different interpretation of Christianity.
Right.
Like, slightly different.
Yeah. That. I mean, I feel the same way about the Serbs and the Croats. Like, I had a friend who was Serbian, and to me, like the giant people from that part of Eastern Europe all look the same, But,
Right.
but he could go into a place and he'd be like, "Oh, that man is throat," and I'd be like, "How do you even know?"
He looks exactly the same as you.
Yeah, he's like 7 feet tall, just like you. What are you talking about? You're the same. So anyway, that whole thing fascinated me, which is why I did a lot of reading about the Troubles. And I guess because it was the part of Irish history. It comes into U2 also. like their first couple albums were.
Oh yeah.
The Cranberries too. The Zombie Song. That's what that's about. It's about the sectarian violence, and I guess it almost became a defining. If you were Northern Irish, especially, it became a defining thing about your identity.
Yes.
That there was this violence that went on.
Yes.
Yes. Around you.
And that was such a, because, U2, that first album was released, their first album was 82, and it was all in that period of time, right? So that was also, my formative years, when I started listening to music. And
right.
So a lot of the stuff I was listening to was about Northern Ireland.
Exactly.
So I felt, as a teenager, I felt very strongly about the struggles in Northern Ireland. It was very important to me
right.
At the time. And what's crazy now is I'm almost 46 years old, and they haven't really worked it out. They came to some sort of mutual agreement, but it's not really been worked out.
It's like how we did with racism in this country. They buried it a little bit. It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
Starting to bubble up. It's this whole EU Brexit thing is probably going to make the Troubles come back. Let's just be honest. That's a thing that's going to happen.
That does make it very different. I need myself another Guinness. We may have to ask our local viewer to bring 2 more Guinnesses into the room. Just saying, local viewer, if you happen to hear us, maybe you could bring us 2 more Guinnesses.
So let's move on to something a little more lighthearted. Sorry, I have to bring the room down on that whole thing. Here's the thing from Ireland also. The Limerick.
The Limerick, yes, this is where I wanted to go from here. The Limerick. So as we were just spitballing back and forth, things that are Irish, Bill says to me, Limerick's Irish, right? Other than, I suppose, that, there was somebody from Nantucket or whatever. Obviously they got transposed.
Well, they like to use towns in Massachusetts because they all sound dirty.
That's fair. But yes, the Irish, so as we discussed, the Irish were really good at things like sarcasm and bullshit. So they invented a purely Irish poetry form called the Limerick.
And it's almost entirely bawdy, I would say. It doesn't have to be, but I think it's for the delivery. It's like a cute way to deliver a bawdy tale, right?
Yes.
And to that end, I'm going to read you one limerick. Now I have another one lined up because I found on the shelf at my house an entire book of limericks, and I pulled them out and I'd set one aside and marked it, and then I walked out of the house this morning and forgot to grab a book. So that's bad. And maybe I'll put it on the speakeasy at some later time.
There's a good idea. Just go live.
Yeah, and I'll just read you up.
Speaking of which, if nobody knows what Speakeasy is, that is our private club for our Patreon members. Or if you email us or message us directly and ask really nicely, we'll probably let you on.
Yeah, because at this point,
nobody's giving us money, so we're just assuming we'll have
hell with it. Yeah, just ask.
Just ask.
You can get in before we raise the prices. They're not free.
Exactly. So if you're interested in the Bill Has Opinion Speakeasy, which literally has almost nothing on it, please join us.
But once in a while, I'll put a random extra video. And so I'll promise you, later in the week, I will go on the Speakeasy and I'll read a couple of dirty limericks.
And speaking of which, if we had more people in the Speakeasy, we'd probably do it more.
I would probably put more content there if I thought it mattered. Yes, that's the thing. So anyway, I ended up, like I said, I left the house without my limerick book. And so then I was on the way out of the office today to head over here. I was like, oh crap, I forgot my limerick book. So I went and looked up some limericks. And these are actually the ones I found on the internet. Were not quite as subtle as the ones in the book. But then here's one that's not like overly I mean, it's still dirty, but it's not like some of them. I'm a little bit like, yeah, I guess like there was a time when this worked, and now I kind of feel bad reading. But this one, I don't feel that bad about. Okay, so here it goes. There once was a fellow McSweeney who spilled some gin on his weenie. Just to be couth, he added vermouth and slipped his girlfriend a martini.
Yes, limericks. Nope. Yeah. You got us there. Right there. That's what you did. So yes, limericks are good. Limericks are funny. So hey, we should challenge people. Come up with your own Bill Has Opinions limericks.
There you go.
Post them on the internet with hashtag Opinion Gang.
That's right.
And they can be try not to make them offensive, but body is good.
Body's fine, yes. Just don't demean anyone. Is I guess the point. And that's what I was trying to get at with the ones I wasn't going to read. If they were demeaning towards women, I was like, yeah, okay, I guess that's kind of funny, but I'm not reading it. Like sometimes it's like, all right. So that's a thing. It's completely Irish now. I guess, well, not completely, but they invented it. I guess it's from the town of Limerick. Is that what we're being told? Thank you so much.
Hey, we have been delivered some more beers. Thank you, sir. Oh, he's dancing, but he's not on camera, so we can't see it. We cannot see it. All right. Can you do the pour? Can you show people the pour?
I will attempt it.
All right. Let's see if we can do it. So all the way upside down, and then slowly pull up. Still sounds dirty.
Yeah.
And then tip. And then there you go. Woohoo!
There you go.
And look how pretty it is. See? It's so pretty.
Watch it. Watch it do the thing. You can see the little.
It's doing the thing right there.
Oh my God! So when I was in college, there was I had a job, a work study job, working the computer lab, right?
Right.
And somebody came in and installed a Guinness screensaver on one of or several of the computers actually, but it was obviously something some student brought in, and I think it must have been a freeware, like Guinness was giving away the screensaver,
right?
And they just put it it was small enough to fit on like one floppy disk, and like if you guys remember these little old.
Oh,
Gen X.
We're Gen X. Yes, we remember. Okay. I'm pretty sure our viewers remember too, because most of our viewers are our friends.
Anyway, this was on probably like a 286 computer, like the old IBM PS2 kind of thing. And anyway, I was so bored at work most of the time because my job was basically to make sure people didn't steal the trash ball and people didn't try to put acetate sheets in the printer because the laser printer would melt them and then they would jam up the printer.
Oh yeah, that'd be bad.
I mean, people would try to do it because they wanted to print out a overhead projection slide for their marketing presentation or whatever.
Oh, anyway, overhead projectors, like that was the day.
Yeah, so anyway, my job was basically like to guard the printer and make sure they still the mice balls. That was really it. So I sat there and I taught myself HTML during this time period because I was in front of a computer all night. And this was when the internet was new. And but then also I discovered that there was like a handful of computers over in this one corner of the room, and somebody put this Guinness screensaver. And what it was this dude poured himself a Guinness, and then show you the cascade, and then it would have this dude dancing around the glass. Well, and I don't know why, but I went in and I found out like what it was a series of bitmaps, like played in a row. And so I went in and edited each bitmap one at a time. So I made the guy I made him into a little devil. And so when he was dancing around his little devil table switching,
nice.
I just so I basically learned the thing. That's how bored I was. I went in and edited like 38 Batman or something.
Yes. Also, so HTML turned out to be a skill I didn't need. Like I taught myself that a while back, and now it's like you just literally you don't need that.
Yeah, really. Like Squarespace and WordPress and all that. Just That's a useful skill.
Yeah, actually, today, this is unrelated to the show, but today I was working on a Squarespace website for a completely different project that has nothing to do with this show. And I was just teaching myself how to do it as I went along. And I'm like, this is not so hard. But yeah, HTML, I spent so long trying to learn that shit. Don't need it.
Although I will say this, so if you're doing and this is completely unrelated to today's show, but that's what happens. You get drunk. That's the tie-in. We're drunk now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ramble.
Yep.
Anyway, the thing is, if you know HTML, if you actually know the code, and then you get stuck in Squarespace or WordPress or whatever the hell, you can always flip it to show me the code, and you can just go, I was gonna hard code this.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, today I was working on it, and there's a big chunk that's it's too big, and I can't make it smaller. No matter what. So that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
I can go in because I know what's there.
Yeah, you go in there and brute force it.
It's too many slashes and spaces. That's what's there.
Yeah.
And I just need to go in and delete all that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you know, that's what I'm saying. If you know the code, there are times when the editors will fight with you, and if you know the code, you can always flip it over to view source, and then you can fuck with the source.
I do that with my own blog a lot when I.
And that's the thing I noticed, because my wife does a lot of web page stuff, but she always does it with those editors, and then sometimes she'll get stuck, and I'll be like, just look at the code and do the thing in the code,
Yeah, no. So we need some sort of, what we need here is a graphic that says we got off topic.
We need a getting off topic.
We need a getting off topic.
We need to have a road sign that says detour or something, right?
We'll just take a moment. We'll reset. Well, this is what I should have put on earlier when I was pouring your beer, but we're just going to reset. We're going to get back to Ireland here. Leave Ireland to the Irish and hell out.
Okay.
Was the slogan at one point.
All right.
In the 80s, in the 90s. All right.
What else you got?
All right, leprechauns.
Oh.
I got leprechauns. So
right.
We could have talked about leprechauns in our cryptid show, and we did not.
Oh, are those cryptid?
Well, kind of, I guess.
What? More as a mythical fairy tale kind of.
But thing. In some cases, do we really know the difference?
Yeah, there is all of that. I guess we discussed that briefly, that there was kind of a wishy-washiness around. Some of these things are mystery animals. Some of these things are metaphysical nonsense, maybe, right?
Right. And of course, Ireland is well known for its connection to the fairy folk.
Sure. That's because of the bullshit.
Yeah, it's very good at bullshitting. Also, I mean, there are scores of Irish mythology that Ireland was settled by the Fae before it was settled by the humans. So I mean, there's scores and scores and scores of it.
Yeah.
Tons of stories. And the leprechauns kind of got, so the idea of the leprechaun is that it's sort of a mythical, like a fairy tale, like a gnome or a brownie or a, one of those what's the word I'm looking for here? I've had too many Guinnesses. Like Loki. What's the word I'm looking for?
Mischievous?
Mischievous. That's the one. Thank you. I knew I got word association in there. We'd eventually get
a we should go on the pyramid. Is that still a thing?
Yes. Exactly. Yes. So they were mischievous spirits that would cause mischief and do all that.
Right.
Also, somehow they were also cobblers, so they made shoes.
The leprechauns?
The leprechauns. Oh. But at some point,
but cruel shoes, right? They'd be perfect. They would, for instance, in my case, we brought this up a couple episodes ago, and no one got back to me. They would give me the perfect pair of blue shoes with a gray sole, but then they'd be just a hair too small, so they're slightly uncomfortable. Yeah. Or maybe the strings are tied a little too tight across the bridge of the foot.
No, I have a theory that leprechauns they just wanted to be left alone and make their shoes. That's what they wanted to do, but humans just kept pissing them off because they wanted some gold.
I would be happy to take the shoes.
Exactly. But then so these little mischievous cobblers, fairy cobblers, apparently somehow got associated with the end of the rainbow and a pot of gold.
Oh my God, yeah.
And those two things are diametrically opposed. I don't really know how, and I tried to look up information.
I mean, I don't know. You buy a good pair of shoes. I mean, they're about $300 for a really good pair of shoes nowadays. So I can kind of see where all that gold might come into play.
That's better than the gold at the end of the rainbow.
Really, I mean, honest to God, like if somebody gave me a $300 pair of nice collared shoes, I'd be like, wow, this is awesome. Like some nice bespoke wingtips. I'd be all over that shit.
Maybe you should put out an offering for the leprechauns.
I should put out a bowl of milk on the windowsill.
Yeah.
And leave me a nice pair of bespoke blue wingtips with gray soles that aren't too tight.
I like that you're putting it out there for the leprechauns as if they'll respond.
Could be. I mean, you never know.
It's worth a shot. It's totally worth a shot.
Can't hurt, might help. Worst case scenario, I got a bowl of clabbered up milk on the windowsill in the morning, right?
That's true. I mean, no, because something will probably eat it, like a neighborhood cat or a possum. Something. It'll be gone in the morning.
It'll be gone. It's probably more likely what's happening. Like, do they have badgers in Ireland?
In Ireland, I'm not sure. Obviously, they do in England, but I don't know about Ireland.
I don't know what wildlife would come by and drink the milk, really.
Yeah.
Because they left the milk out for the Fae and the leprechauns, I believe.
Well, leprechauns were Fae. They're a specific type.
Oh, I got you. They're okay. Yeah.
Yes.
If you want gold or copper. Speaking of gold and leprechauns, somebody brought this up. I think when we were talking about the cryptids a couple weeks ago. The Mobile, Alabama leprechaun. Are you familiar?
Yes. Well, from that episode, yes, we talked about that a little bit.
That's a good. If you guys aren't familiar, go watch the video. Look it up on YouTube. I got to type in Mobile leprechaun, and it's a hoot. And
although there are badgers in Ireland, apparently.
Oh, so nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been doing a lot of studying about badgers and their kin lately because a certain American version of the badger has been canceled this week or in the last week or two. And you know what? There are skunks in France. Just FYI, there are skunks in Europe. So yeah.
So are you saying Pepe Le Pew is a badger? Is that what you're saying?
He's either a badger and therefore doesn't stink. He's just a raping badger, or conversely, he doesn't exist because they're always like next place in Paris, France. But I'm like, there's no damn skunks in Paris, France. So it's not the thing that happens there. They don't have skunks.
It's not.
They should have made him a hedgehog or something, and I don't know, and made him rapey towards, I don't know, like bristle brooms or something.
So herein lies that this is a different situation, but the Americans have done to the Irish too. Pretty much any non-American. The Irish have the Americans, us, have very specific views of what is an ethnicity. So like everything is a character, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
It doesn't matter. You can be French, you can be whatever. You're a caricature.
Yeah, it boils down to a couple of things. A couple of characteristic traits, like stereotype, basically, right?
Yeah. And certainly the Irish were not immune to that.
No, I mean because at one point, they were hated enough where like back in the West, or whatever, they had those signs that were like, no Chinese and no Irish coming in here.
And in New York City, when the Irish were coming over, there were signs, no Irish need to lie.
It's funny. This is funny to me. Ha funny. I mean, or peculiar funny. I don't know. So my grandfather told me his grandfather was a cop in Baltimore, and he hated the Irish, apparently. Now, my grandfather married an Irish woman.
Oh, you did do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think his granddad was long dead.
Sure.
But when his granddad was a cop in Baltimore, he used to purposely go out and look for Irish to beat the hell out of because, cops have always been the way they are. So, anyway, but yeah, it's funny to me because, like I said, that my granddad was married to an Irish woman. My grandmother, on that side, her mother was from Ireland, and her father was also from Ireland. So they were, I guess she was second generation American,
Right,
but her
right.
parents were completely Irish. And then, the other side of my family, I don't know, I think they're like Scotch Irish, which means they were from Scotland and then they waylaid from Scotland and they waylaid in Ireland for a minute and then came over,
Right.
that's where this, red beard comes from, I guess, is from one of those groups of people. Also, my inability to walk outside in the sunshine.
Yes, no, I have that. So I am ethnically, I am 3/4 Canadian and 1/4 Polish. My Polish grandmother was actually born in Warsaw in the late 1800s, because that was.
Now, when you say Canadian, though, I mean even that. So
exactly. So that's where I'm going with this. So 3/4 Canadian, which means that. So my grandmother was a Canadian immigrant to the U.S. So she came from Canada to the U.S. And then my father's grandparents were Canadian immigrants from Quebec. That was the French. That's where we get all the way from, as it were. But then I recently found out that my mother's father's family came from Canada too. They're like a must of some sort. But my grandmother, my actual grandmother, my grandmother, not the Polish grandmother, the Irish, the Canadian grandmother, her maiden name was Nolan, and she was in fact Irish. However, that's a long way around to saying that. I've had a lot of beer. So her maiden name was Nolan, but she was so far removed from the actual Irish that she was several generations, so it was very muted, whatever, because there was a lot of other Canadian in there. But the Nolan name goes back, because it's clearly an Irish name. My first Irish relatives immigrated to Canada in the 1700s. They were merchants, and it was well before the famine or anything else. They just skipped that shit. They're just like, no, yeah. Here we go. They went to Canada. They settled in Kingston, Ontario, and they had a fabulous life.
Oh wow! Okay. Yeah, and there's there's pockets of the U.S. like I said, Chicago, Boston
for sure,
where like the Irish ancestry is like a huge fucking deal or whatever. Most Southerners, I think, identify themselves as somewhat Scotch
or Irish, yeah, for sure.
I think it's just because,
or both.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think most people really know. They just, they know that you're pale in the
Well, yeah, and again, those are people that came here in maybe the 1700s.
Sure.
So.
I definitely think there's probably a lot more Scottish than Irish in the South, but people misunderstand what Scotch Irish means.
Right.
They think it means a blend of Scotch and Irish, which is when I say it, I do mean because I express my favorite with Scotland and Ireland, and then also England and also Germany. But I think a lot of people, they've heard that word, they think it means some sort of like mutt of Scotch and Irish. They don't realize it means a specific, it means the people, especially like in Northern Ireland, the non-Catholics in Northern Ireland are Scotch Irish. They came from Scotland.
Right.
They left Scotland, they moved to Ireland. They were incentivized to do it kind of like the Oklahoma Sooners, like there was some sort of incentive because the Irish decided, English decided at some point that the Scots were preferable to the Irish.
Right.
And to be fair, the English hate everybody who's not English.
Right.
But they have a hierarchy apparently, and they've decided the Scots were somewhat more bearable than the Irish. So they sent Scots over to Ireland, hoping they would run the Irish out of Ireland or some crap. I don't know. And that's what caused all the problems.
Well, that is true. And on that note, we are technically going to be way over on this show. But we also know dinner isn't coming for another 15 minutes. But there's that. Because Bill gets to experience the tradition that is in my house known as Bill has pizza. Which we always have pizza after after I do the show. So since Bill is in our house,
Bill actually will have a pizza.
We'll have a pizza.
Sometimes she's told me about it, so sometimes she'll say something about it, and I'll go get a pizza too. But I don't always,
Right. We should solicit like pizza places to advertise.
Yeah.
And we would totally throw them up on the site with Bill has a pizza with their logo and everything. So we should.
Absolutely.
So if you own a pizza place, let us know because Bill has pizza.
To be fair, the Purple Onion does serve pizza.
True, that is true. However, when I made the Purple Onions thing, I had much more fun with the Bill has onions.
Yeah, Bill has an onion.
I thought that was funnier at the moment.
That makes sense.
In that moment, I thought that was.
I actually like the. This is we're curly. Never mind. I don't want to go on another tangent. We're gonna go over. We're gonna go so over.
We are. So we should. We don't have a mailbag today, so we'll skip that. That's
okay.
Because I do know we have things that are extra.
We always, there's always something that's extra, but
right. But this week, I think it's important because we do have a couple extra minutes because we are in the same place.
Because it came up just yesterday.
Well, it came up 3 days ago when I said, "Have we ever talked about this?" And you said no, and I said, "But it's happening this weekend," and you said, "What?"
Yeah, this soon? That's what I believe was my response.
I believe that's true. So things that are extra, daylight saving time.
Oh yes, and she informed me that it's daylight saving time and not daylight savings time.
I learned that recently. I've been very guilty of daylight savings time, but it is actually.
I always said that too, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, but I'm like, the extra S is for extra savings. Ta-da! There you go.
Ta-da! Ta-da! So I know you have opinions about daylight saving time.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people hate on daylight saving time. I had to stop myself before I said that S. Loads of people hate on it, and they're always like, "I hate to like switch clocks back and forth, back and forth." While on one hand, switching clocks is a pain in the ass. I do get that part. I actually prefer the amount of light that happens during the daylight. So I kind of take the side of I'm in favor of switching clockwise here, whereas a lot of people are like, can we just get rid of it altogether? Like, we don't need it anymore because we're not in a agrarian society or whatever. Now, here's the problem I have right now. Because currently, I think there's people getting around the idea of maybe stopping the switch off. They're going to keep it daylight saving time all year round.
Yes.
Whereas if you were going to stay something all year round, I think you should stay standard time all year round because that's what it was before we started mucking with it. But here's the deal. You take away changing the clock, and it's not going to change the axis of the Earth.
I'm gotten all worked up over there.
Yeah, sorry. It's not going to change the flip-flopping of the axis of the Earth. So the days will still get longer and shorter, and the time the sun comes up and goes down will be different times during the year. So, it's not going to solve all your problems just because you don't have to change the clock.
Right.
Like, it will still be dark at a time you don't want it to be dark, is what I'm getting at.
Correct.
And I think that's half of what people don't understand. They think it's just like some sort of it is arbitrary, willy-nilly nonsense in the sense that all time is arbitrary, willy-nilly nonsense. Human beings bit of time. Go ask the fucking sparrow out in your yard what time it is, and he's gonna be like, I don't know.
I don't know. What I do know is that Madame Cat, she daylight saving be damned.
Yeah, dinner time is what it is.
It is time to feed me now. It does not matter.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that's the thing. That's exactly how arbitrary the whole thing is. Is like, when the cat wakes your ass up to eat, and when the birds outside your window are chirping, it's time to get the hell up and go do your thing.
Yep.
Which is what I experienced Sunday morning. Like at 7 in the morning, it was the birds were out there chirping, and I was like, have those birds, I remember my wife was like, have those birds ever chirped at 7 in the morning? And I was like, I don't know, I'm usually up before 7, so I don't know.
Well, also, but 7 in the morning, 7 is the new 6 a.m.
Yeah, 7 is the 6, right? So anyway, I don't know. I'm pro daylight savings time in the sense that here's the deal. it gives you time to do the things you need to do, and it keeps kids from standing out on the side of the road on the bus in the dark.
Yes, I remember my mom making that argument when I was a kid.
Right. I mean, here's the deal. Like, we don't want kids getting run over because they're standing out on the side of the road waiting on the bus. So, to me, that's all the argument I need to keep it going. It's not that big a pain in the ass. Oh, yeah, I remember when I was a child, I remember one time, it was summertime, and my mom was like, it's time for bed. And I was like, it's not time for bed. It's only 6 o'clock. And she was like, what? No, it's like 9. I'm like, the sun just went down.
Well, so here's my only issue with it. I'm for one or the other. Standard, daylight savings, I don't care. But can we stop with the losing an hour, gaining an hour? Like, that's just bullshit. Like, I just don't need to deal with
it. It does take you about a month to adjust to it.
Well, and like the car, it's not going to get clock is going to get fixed for months.
I fixed my car clock on the way to work this morning.
I used to go when I would drive to work, but now like I don't go anywhere.
I got the car and I did a double take, and I was like, "Holy shit, am I that early?" And
yeah,
exactly. I was like, "Oh no, it's had to reset."
Exactly.
You know, that's funny. I mean, I guess probably like 5 years from now, the car clock will do the same thing your cell phone does, and it'll just it'll just sync up.
Because that's been a game changer. Because
right?
we used to have to go. We're Gen X. We used to go through every clock in the house and change them before we went to bed on Saturday night.
Now it's you wait till Sunday morning and you go fuck with the oven clock.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one that needs to be fixed. No, just really quick story. I dated a kid in high school a very long time ago, and his father collected clocks, like legit clocks, like actual clocks. They were all over his house. His house fucking ticked. It was actually.
Any of them cuckoo?
No, thank God. No, I think maybe they had one or two.
I was like, if I was going to own 70 clocks, 1 or 2 of them would cuckoo.
Well, the man was also a Nazi, but that's a show. That's a different show.
A Nazi would have a cuckoo.
It's true. But so I remember like daylight savings time was an event in their house because there were all of these clocks and you had to physically so daylight saving, and then when we transitioned back to standard, like twice a year, spring forward, fall back, it was like that was an all-day chore.
It's infuriating to the clock collectors.
Yes. So yeah, no, that's actually the reason I do not own clocks in my house. Like as an adult, I've maybe owned 1 or 2 traditional clocks. Otherwise, like, it's the oven or my phone.
Yeah.
That's the only clock I have.
I haven't had a clock in a couple of years. I had a Kit Kat clock once because I had a 50s style kitchen. And I wanted a Kit Kat clock, but that was the last clock I think I owned.
All right, we should probably end the show because
might as well. It's like we're 7 minutes over.
We are, and there is pizza coming.
So 7's a lucky number.
That's true. So can you take us away?
Yeah, Bill Has Opinions is produced by Laura Lavoie, or how would you say it in French?
Lavoie.
Lavoie, as they would say in French. Which is not Irish, but she mentioned it for the first time ever. The opinions of Bill are those of his and his alone, unless Laura shook her hand in agreement, in which case they're both, and vice versa. None of the sponsors that we don't get paid by are responsible for our opinions at all, so don't hold them accountable for anything I said. Let's see. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, and also follow us on Facebook. And if you talk about us, hashtag Opinion Gang, and be sure to respond to some of our queries there. Send some email or some mailbag questions, and we'll get back to you on that nonsense. And be sure to tune in next week, or if it's next week, or I can't remember what the schedule was.
No, we do have a show next week. Okay. Whether we'll be in person or not is still up in the air, but. Okay. We do have a show next week, and I do not remember the theme, so we'll let y'all know
we'll surprise you. It'll be a thing.
No, we often surprise ourselves. But we will be back next week, and then we are off the week after, but we'll talk about that next week.
I knew we had a break coming up, so I was trying to wrap my head around that. But
yes. But thank you, everybody, and we will see you all again soon.
All right. Good luck.